Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome back to to a new series actually. This is the Untested Steam game series. I've got 11 games I think for you today, which is not bad. There's quite a lot on Steam that are technically classed as untested. So yeah, this could be a pretty long series if I do all of my library like I did with the unplayable ones. Anyway, so we're going to start with Black Mesa. Or Mesa? I don't know how you pronounce it, actually. It's one of those words that you just see, but you never pronounce. Yeah, anyway. So this game does actually run fine for the most part. There are the occasional stutters, as you can see. But the main thing is there's the controls, really. They're not straightforward. There's no prompts for the controller, but we're likely to see that quite a lot, I think, in this video from what I remember. But what you can do is you can obviously set it yourself. There is an official layout by the team as well, so you know that's good. I did change my right joystick to the joystick mode because I found that helps reduce stutter when it's down as a trackpad. Sometimes that can cause issues in particular games, and this was one of those. So that's the one minor tweak I would make. I had to go in and check the controllers from time to time in order to be able to know which button did what. But you know, that's minor. I think once you started to play the game properly, unlike me, then you're probably fine and you get into it. But no, I think it's perfectly playable, really, just with minor tweak, which isn't even that big of a deal. So yeah, Black Mesa working well, great, really. And next up, we've got my favourite game ever, Final Fantasy XIII. That's a lie. So you get a launcher when you boot up, and it gives you some options. I thought these options would be fine, run at 720p, shadow resolutions, 1024 by 1024. I'd probably lower the lower the anti-aliasing. The problem is the performance wasn't brilliant, not stellar by any stretch. There was definitely some slowdown. When you take a look at the metrics, you can see when we're in the gameplay, you can see that we're not using the full amount of GPU or CPU, and I'm not really sure if it's just an optimization thing or something it doesn't like about the AMD proprietary chip on the Steam Deck. I don't know. I actually don't really know I can't remember how it works on normal PC either, if it's got these sort of issues as well. But luckily the controls work fine from what I can gather straight out the bat. They obviously use the 360 controls anyway from when it was released on the Xbox 360. Probably a port of that, I imagine. But yeah, nothing unremarkable. That there is the slowdown, unfortunately, but I think this is the sort of game you can probably get away with it in, but it's not a nice experience at all. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to play Final Fantasy 13 anyway if I could help it, but obviously I did for this video. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. There is a bit of a trade-off. I can't work out a better way of doing it. Limiting the frame rate to 30, seemed to help a bit with some of the spikes, but you are still going to get a slowdown and stuff happening when there's stuff going on screen. But like I say, it's not because we've not got the power to utilise. There's just something not working quite right with this one. But I don't really mind. It's not something I'm going to look into. It works well enough for you to be able to play it, and the controls work straight out the gate as well. So now we do genuinely have one of my favourite ever games, which is Medieval 2 Total War. And this game, well, runs perfectly. I would guess you probably would imagine that, seeing as it's incredibly old at this point. One of the reasons I ended up getting my first proper gaming computer since my Windows 95 one. So it's quite quite a bit. This and Rome, obviously, quite important games for me anyway. But yeah, no, I love it. I did use mouse and keyboard when I was using this, but I have also played it handheld as well. Naturally, it is far nicer to use mouse and keyboard. There is some community profiles on there for using a controller, probably from when the Steam controller was a thing, and they work fine Probably the best way I can put it. They're a little bit clunky, takes some getting used to. The trackpad works fine. I had to do some playing around though with like dragging and selecting units. But certainly, if it's something that you were determined to play in handheld, you could certainly make it work. Obviously, really miss these general speeches that we don't have in Total War games anymore. But yeah, I had a blast. I played through maybe like 5 or 6 turns with the English, just sort of capturing some towns, fighting a couple of battles, just trying to make a cause havoc really. And yeah, there was no problem. This is something that I probably will carry on playing a little bit now and again because yeah, it's just so nostalgic for me. But it's good to know that this works and it is possible to play with the Steam Deck, even though it's not intuitive. I think this is probably part of an upcoming video I want to do on RTSs, and if you want the TLDR, the conclusion will be that it's possible but takes some getting used to, and this one's no exception. But yeah, fits in the same category as the rest of the Total War games really in terms of that regard. So yeah, you'd be glad to know you play this. I would recommend doing it in desktop though, desktop mode on an external screen. Probably works better for this type of game. Anyway, yeah, Medieval 2 Total War, perfectly fine. And next we move on to The Outer Worlds. Once again, another favourite game, in my opinion anyway.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
So yeah, thanks Todd Howard, which is quite funny. Really think about it being an Obsidian game. Obsidian obviously worked with Bethesda, I guess, to make Fallout New Vegas. That's not quite true, but you know what I mean. And yeah, this game runs fine. Off the bat, it's not going to be a 60 FPS experience, unfortunately, which I know some people will have issues with, but it runs over 30. You can lock it to 30, absolutely no problem. If you want to drop the settings and lower the resolution scale, you can probably eke out 60 most of the time, but for me it's not really worth it. I'd rather turn it up to high, lock at 30 and be done with it really. It's a single player RPG of course, so yeah, no problem at all, and no issue with controls, nothing like that, to be honest. I had a bit of a play around with resolution scale settings just to try and get a bit of an idea as to how it might run if you were happy to make a couple of compromises. And yeah, for me, it felt better locking at 30, having higher graphics and going from there really. But yeah, obviously you can do what you want with this, but yeah, The Outer Worlds runs fine, much better than it does on the Switch anyway, that's for certain. Like a lot of these AAA games on the Switch, they were very disappointing on there. But anyway, yeah, there you go. Obsidian's The Outer Worlds. Brilliant. And next up, we've got Lord of the Rings War in the North, which is actually not available on Steam anymore, although it is available on the key sites for an exorbitant amount of money. So, yes, what can I say about this? Actually runs pretty well. It's got some green bars at the top and the bottom for videos and such when it's not in, I think because it's not in 16:9 ratio. Don't know why it's got particularly green bars though, but that seems to be a recurring theme. The controls are okay. If I was going to play it through all the way, I would definitely have a tweak of them, because switching over to your ranged weapon is like a soft press on the back trigger, on the right trigger, which is not ideal, to be honest. So yeah, I would certainly have a play around with the controls if that's what you're going to do, although most of it seems to work fine, to be fair. But I'm a bit surprised about the controls actually now I think about it, because there is the prompts there for an Xbox 360 controller, so maybe that would actually be quite an easy fix, and I've just played half an hour of it without realising that. So yeah, I mean, as of all things, there's certainly a way around it, and that's probably the most easiest way. But yeah, it plays and runs like how I remember, basically. You know, you get a little bit of slowdown here and there, but it's like very rare, nothing like Final Fantasy 13 that we looked at earlier. I'm also not sure how to use my potions, but anyway, that's not really that important. But yeah, it's a really good game if you've got it in your library. It's something you can certainly play on the Steam Deck. Probably like more suited to the Steam Deck as like an old, I guess, AAA title. But no, yeah, works perfectly well. Like I say, just a few tweaks, especially with the controls. out the gate, and then obviously you've got the green bars, but other than that, perfectly fine. And next we have Besiege, which is a funny like physics-based game where you have to build your own catapult or helicopter or whatever your heart desires. So I did play this with mouse and keyboard, but I have tried it with the Steam controller, and once again it needs some refinement in the controls. Take a bit of learning to get into a good place where you're happy with the controls themselves. But in reality you can use a mouse for a lot of stuff anyway, so that bit's not too bad. And yeah, the game runs and functions pretty well. To be honest, I didn't notice there was any drops really below 60. There was a couple on the frame time there that I'm noticing now. I'm doing this recording, but yeah, while actually playing, it was pretty much flawless, to be honest. I didn't obviously try it with any sort of really super complicated machines or like big explosions and stuff. I did off a couple of landmines that didn't really seem to do anything, so maybe in the later levels that might be an issue, but I can't see it not even being able to do 30 FPS regularly, no matter what contraption and stuff you've got going on. So yeah, pretty fun game. Glad that it works. Like I say, probably certainly along the same lines as the Total War, Medieval 2 Total War. Better to do docked, with a proper mouse and keyboard. But yeah, it's something you can do. Just take a bit of getting used to. And next up we have Hand of Fate, the original.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
Thanks again, Todd. Cut me off a bit there, but never mind. Yep, Hand of Fate works perfectly fine in the same way that Hand of Fate 2 worked really well, like, even through the Epic Game Store launcher, through Steam. So yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I played endless mode run, fought some battles and everything else, and yeah, no issues. Pretty much locked at 60. It's got Xbox 360 or Xbox controllers anyway, control functionality. So yeah, no problem at all. Hand of Fate, brilliant. Not much more I can say really. And our penultimate game today is Battle versus Chess. It does have a wine configuration at the start, but other than that, it runs perfectly fine, even with the rhythm-based inputs that it's got, like the QTE almost. It ran, yeah, perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
And yeah, runs exactly as you would expect it to and want it to. In fact, looking at it now, the frame rate is stupidly high. But yeah, there you go. You could certainly cap it and it would not be a problem. But yeah, even with some of these like really intense, quick button inputs you've got to do, they do start to speed up at times. It ran perfectly fine, and I can't say anything better than that. I would probably say this should almost be a verified game. Certainly playable at least anyway. And last up we've got Dust, which I haven't ever actually played before, I don't think. This game runs perfectly fine right out the bat. It has... what did I say right out the bat for? Out the middle of the bat. Don't know, must be a baseball term, I'm not aware of, or cricket term. But anyway, I'm mumbling. Yeah, it's got inputs for Xbox controller, which is really nice. And
all of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
I don't have anything else to say other than that. Thanks, Todd, once again. So, yeah, that's been the first look at the Steam, what is this, classed as Untested section. Lots of games in my library classed as Untested, and I'm expecting a really good hit rate from these. I'm not expecting many to need too many tweaks here and there. I mean, we've had a sort of whole suite of games here, 11, that have basically worked without any sort of major configuration issues. A couple of control issues I don't think is all that show-stopping by any stretch. We've not had any major graphical glitches, we've not had any showstoppers. Poor performance in Final Fantasy 13, but yeah, still, you can still play it. So, not something I'm really that fussed about. And yeah, I mean, seems to be a pretty good series in terms of being able to cross games off as being down as working, and yeah, I don't know. Don't really have anything. What else can I say? It's been a fairly straightforward video. Quite long, I must admit, but we've gone through quite a lot of games here, and I'll plan on doing at least a few more episodes of this, just to, you know, just try and cross games off. Obviously, I know that we do a lot of these on the streams at the weekend, looking at different games, but usually they're sort of all sorts of different statuses on Steam. But yeah, I would suggest, I don't want to say unequivocally, but if a game is classed as untested on Steam, chances are it probably does work, which should fill you with a bit of confidence if there's a special game on there that you really want to play that is down as untested. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you all on the next one. Bye for now.